We live in a society. I'm gonna kill you. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was trying to do Gabagool accent and I went straight into Christopher Walken. The thing about society.
We're talking about the Snyder cut.
Yeah, the Society cut is live on HBO Max.
It's actually not, because that line was not in the movie.
True.
Hashtag release the Society
Release
cut.
the Society cut. The fact that it was cut from the movie says a lot about society.
That being said, spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Alert.
If you haven't seen it, don't. Just listen to this.
Or maybe watch it. I mean, form your own opinion. Don't.
Form your own opinion, but finish this episode before you go watch it.
That's fair. Or simultaneously. This will be a
4-hour-long
podcast.
Yeah, we'll line it up. So if you're watching it along at home, start now. Okay, good.
Time code should be at the bottom. So yeah, spoilers ahead for the...
Do not know what's in there. My wife, she's trying to kill me. It's just all this gabagool all day. I can't even do the accent.
No.
I don't think my brain can connect the slang terms that need to be used for the character, but also connect the accent. But I can say, yeah, it's the Joker, baby, and it's perfectly fine. But yeah.
And what are your initial thoughts on the Snyder cut?
Strongly disliked it.
You said in a text message to me, he said, if the Joss Whedon cut was a 3, this was a 4.
And I stand by that statement. It was an improvement.
It was definitely an improvement. I think without a doubt you can say that this film is a better movie and it actually has vision.
As a whole.
As
a whole. There were parts that were worse, in my opinion, if not just similar.
Similar is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It was long. That was my first impression, was that it was long.
Oh my, the slow-mo.
The
slow-mo was too much.
There was a lot of artistic choices that felt a little heavy-handed, but that is classic Zack Snyder. If you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, for better, for worse. That's
like
it made sense. I
time,
wasn't surprised.
Yeah, every time something happened, if we got that scene where Superman flew into the sky and did his little Jesus pose, it's it's
now that made it adds up. It adds up. The Amazon's just glistening in baby oil.
Yeah.
Just typical Snyder fashion.
Yeah, it sucks because that scene was cool.
I want to know if he got Amazonians that have abs or if he did the 300 digital abs. Release the ab cut.
But there was just so much that made the movie weird. I enjoyed it much more than you did. I actually had a good time with it, and there was a lot that I actually liked. There was stuff I really didn't like, which we'll get into in a little bit. But overall, I was able to enjoy myself, whereas with the Justice League, I didn't enjoy myself at all.
Yeah. I don't
Except
know.
maybe one or two scenes. And one of those scenes was a Zack Snyder scene, the Superman revival scene.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the Justice League, and it's the exact same thing in this movie.
Except for Batman.
Except for the Batman
We
part.
didn't get the Batman. Well, he wasn't a joke. He was...
yeah, but the whole fight
he was late.
scene...
Yeah,
the whole fight scene is still...
I mean, my favorite part of that fight scene is when Barry's running...
And he just turns around and it's just unnerving, oh boy. I think it's funny just how much they lean into oh yeah, Superman's OP. But
which is good because he is
he is, but I don't know, something about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, it was a weird, they're trying to be more comic booky but still be the Nolanverse at the same time. I'm okay with it. Superman is that's just the way he is, so that's how it should be. But just strange. I will say, to its credit, it does feel like a sequel to Batman v Superman.
I mean, especially with the start.
Yeah, okay. I took notes, and that was my first note, was his like last breath or scream. The dumbest MacGuffin I've ever
It's
seen.
the shot.
Of
It's the shot
all
heard around the
time.
world.
Of all time.
You're not familiar with American history?
I'm very familiar.
It's the shot.
Benedict Cumberbatch and
Newton John.
Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, you got that reference, listeners at home. But yeah, so my first note was Superman's final breath is such a stupid MacGuffin. One, just a classic slow-mo scene that took up 25 minutes but could have taken up 2.
It's just, I don't think we needed to see his scream being what awoke the mother boxes and that kind of stuff. I think just showing that after he died, the mother boxes awoke would have been completely fine.
Totally fine.
Like that's.
It was also just seeing every character in the world hear his scream audibly. Like, oh my goodness, is that a crow? Like, what? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's
just started off the rip, just not
but,
great.
I mean, it's better than cell phone footage.
Superman
Superman.
or
Batman fighting
1920s goon being chased by Batman.
Yeah, I'm glad. That was one of the scenes where I was like, I wasn't wasn't sure who shot that one. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
And then
I
it wasn't
assumed
included.
it was a Joss one just because
Yeah.
the VFX were so bad, so it felt more recent.
and then it wasn't included, and I was like, oh.
No, I'm very glad that wasn't included either. I also think it was weird how it went through that whole Superman scream sequence and then just like showed some artsy footage of like landscapes and shit and then just cut straight in with we didn't know how long it had been.
Yeah.
We didn't know where we were, which was probably on purpose, I guess. But like it was strange. I don't know. And just jumping straight into the Aquaman scene, another scene I thought that was a Joss Whedon reshoot was not the scene inside the tavern
But when he was getting into the water.
when he's walking out, yeah, and they're like chumming it up after that super like intense.
It definitely feels weird. And then like, we gotta talk about the horny girl.
Oh yeah, she was
Oh,
just
she was
chanting
She was neat,
some she shanties,
and then just sniffing his sweater. Like,
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I
less
know,
less weird than buying bathwater.
but like, just so strange. Like this, there was so much that like.
I think it was one of the Zack Snyder God parallels, except it was like, oh, imagine a community that is so out of time that they would still worship a man like God. I can see him. I can see him in a boardroom being like trying to blow some intern's
yeah.
mind. Like some production assistants just there like taking notes, being like, sure.
And I love, like, personally, a big part of the reason I think I enjoyed this movie is even as much as, like, I don't like Ezra Miller as Flash, he's the only casting that I'm not the biggest on, and I feel like Ben Affleck isn't into it, so it hurts it. But seeing the Justice League together is so cool. Like, that's just such a, like, every moment where there is multiple of them on screen, it's like, as a DC Comics fan, this is something that, like, just makes me happy.
I get that statement, but at the same time, that was like, we already got that. You know, like the Justice League, for as bad as it was, we did still get those visual moments.
For sure. But I mean, I just like these versions of the character a little bit more because there were less bad jokes.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. I think even though I did not like the writing in this, I think it was just as, in my opinion, it was just as cringy at parts.
Yeah, there were definitely parts that were like, oh, I thought that was a Joss scene because it was.
Or even there was some new lines, or maybe it wasn't new, but it felt new.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't remember it. I was like, who, what?
I do personally think that Batman is the worst written character in this film.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is a 2-film journey. Like, this is the second time we've seen Ben Affleck's Batman. It makes no sense. Like, all of his faith stuff, like, and it sucks because Alfred was so great.
I was thinking about all that, and it was like, why? Because I wanted to just shit on Batman's whole thing, and it's like, it's weird because him having a complete 180 because of the death of someone is something that could realistically happen in real life. You know what I mean? Like, someone's death is a very big deal. Like, since it's fictional, we're able to look past it, and we knew he's coming back, so it's not a big deal. But, like, But at the same time, like,
He knew him for like 6
they were
hours.
friends for, like, and less than that. Like, they were, he knew him for 6 hours, but they were only friends for, like, 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah, they were only working together for probably an hour at most.
yeah. And it's just so, and even then, I still don't think we got enough explanation for, it was weird. We needed a movie in between these.
We needed, for every, I strongly think, as much as I don't really like the first Avengers movie, it does what should have happened by establishing the characters prior. Having one character at most get established. Have Cyborg be established in this movie. Would have been fine with that. Flash and Aquaman's movies needed to come out before. Aquaman doesn't fit into this timeline at all. There's so many plot holes because, like,
He's also, like,
a completely different character.
he's probably my favorite character in this because he says the least. Like,
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
he
was
has the
pretty
least
quiet.
dialogue at like, and it's for the best because I didn't like anybody's dialogue. But
Yeah.
I think really, this movie was never going to be cohesive, like, narratively, because, like, of what you just said. Like, we hadn't had the introduction. Maybe
Yeah,
crazy thought.
there was so much work to do.
What if you didn't kill Superman in his second movie?
That's a good. What if you didn't introduce Batman in Superman's second movie and actually gave Batman a movie to himself and established the lore that you were trying to build about Batman and how the Robin died and how the Robin died was the wrong Robin and how you killed Dick Grayson like a bunch of cowards? What if you did that?
What if, in addition to doing that and the other thing, you also did not introduce or shoehorn an introduction for Wonder Woman into that same movie with 3 other title characters?
Nah, I'm okay with that one.
See, I guess, yeah.
I do. I like Wonder Woman's. My least favorite part of the movie was the
Yeah, it was cheesy. I think that would have worked in 1 or 2 moments, but having it in like 25.
Somebody, I saw a tweet about it. Was like, I'm an hour and a half through this movie, and I've heard the Wonder Woman noise 4 times. How many more times does it happen?
It's a lot.
It's just so goofy. Like,
Goofy is a great way to describe it. I think. Yeah.
say something positive about the movie. You've been shitting on it. What did you like about it?
The glizzy scene was funny. The
See,
pocket glizzy.
That's a scene I have a problem with.
I mean, it's the only reason I find it funny is because it's absurdist. Like, not because it's good for the movie or the scene or the character. It's just absurd.
Yeah, I think it would have been funnier if he didn't give it to the dogs and he just pocketed the hot dog and then, like,
I would have loved to see him sitting with the dog, still playing with it, take it out. Like, just full Tom and Jerry cartoon character levels of, like, taking a big old lick and then...
or, like, even, like, 2 hours later into the movie, he pulls it out of his
That would
pocket.
be great if when he was with Batman, when he was in the Mercedes, and he just, like, just took a bite out of it like a carrot.
And he was talking about how he was eating all the snacks. And he was like...
That would have been great. That would have
Like,
made
I feel like it would have worked better as there's, like, a random callback moment as opposed to just the immediate punchline of, oh,
yeah.
I needed to impress the dog walker lady.
Yeah. Positive. Okay, I really enjoyed the Batman Joker moment. And I hate that I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it.
Nightmare scene is so interesting because of how
It's its own movie.
it's shoehorned in there at the very end.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense for the greater context. But it's written pretty well the entire way through. Like, that's some of the better writing
Yeah, no,
in the film.
I would say it's the only writing in the film.
And, like, I don't like Amber Heard as Mara, but her appearance was interesting. Her having to carry around a tank of water because she's...
Yeah, I mean, again,
I would like to see what she does with it.
It very much fits the fan film aesthetic
Yeah.
of being like,
Oh.
we need to explain, but we can't afford the CGI for the water around her face, you know?
Yeah, like, does she just randomly take the jug and just dump it on herself?
Well, so in the Aquaman movie, she's fine being out of the water, just like Aquaman is, but all the other Atlanteans can't. So is it just because she's magic or like a waterbender?
I don't know.
She just gets a free pass
Yeah,
because
I
main
guess.
character syndrome?
Yeah. And
I like, maybe it's like Katara's pouch where she waterbends out of the jugs.
Deathstroke was interesting that we got his introduction the scene before,
and then immediately,
after he's in the nightmare sequence. I mean,
sure.
I didn't really like. I'm not a big fan of the faux hawk. It looked better than the weird dyed hair, though. I think the shaved head.
Yeah.
I think the nightmare looked better because like
I think it just fit the aesthetic of being dirty.
And I was saying, and also it was like grimy. If like even like the cinematography made it feel much more grimy, so maybe that was it. Who else was there? Cyborg was lazy.
Yeah,
whatever. He had a cloak.
He was just like trying to copy Batman's flow.
Yeah,
with the duster. Yeah,
and then we had CGI Flash.
Yeah, which I think because I remember Zack Snyder like did virtual reshoots with Ezra Miller, so I assume it was for that.
Interesting. Yeah, well, this scene is very because Jared Leto was not in his original plan for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
So this scene is very clearly the one that got reshot.
Yes.
Maybe there was a little bit more like pickups and stuff, but this was the new scene that they
definitely
shot.
Would. At least the Batman and Joker part was new, for
sure.
Well,
everybody interacts with Joker, so it was all of it.
Because even Mira and Cyborg in them.
I think they all maybe not interact, but I think they all acknowledge that he's there.
That's fair. I mean, I guess
I know Deathstroke does for sure.
Deathstroke does. I could just see Cyborg, Mirror, and Flash just having like pre-keyed footage for this a similar scene just dropped in. Maybe I'm simplifying that.
My thing is, this is a 4-hour movie. If there was a similar scene, it would probably be somewhere in the movie.
They would have used it. Yeah, that's a good point.
But the writing on the Batman and Joker moment is some of the best Batman and Joker film writing that we've got, for sure. I don't think it's the best Batman Joker that we've seen on screen. I think we've got all of Heath Ledger's performance.
Yeah.
And many moments in the 89 movie.
Some moments with Cesar Romero even.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you want to go a little bit more campy, for sure. But also, like, even, like, Gotham, there's some great moments between the kid that plays Bruce and Cameron Monaghan's Joker. Like, it was good, but people forget that we've had great Joker content before. Like,
yeah. Well, they don't forget; they just ignore.
I did see a tweet where I don't know who tweeted it. I think somebody I know tweeted it.
Was it me?
No.
I'll take credit for it.
Yeah, you tweeted it, and they just said, "Guys, that nightmare scene doesn't make sense. This version of Batman would have snapped Joker's neck long ago."
I 100% agree, especially like. Yeah. Also, my only problem with that that exchange is what can Joker bring to the table in that scenario?
Well, yeah, we don't. That's why my mind, I was like, I know that they claim there were only like 2 minutes of new footage shot, whatever, and I know Jared Leto was included in that, only in that new footage. But like, I wanted a longer nightmare scene because I wanted stuff like that to be explained. Because that's a fascinating timeline to me. Like, I would like to see more.
I would watch an 8-hour Nightmare movie before I rewatch the Snyder Cut.
Wow, you were very negative.
I mean, I just think the Nightmare sequence is just like it's new and it's different and it's something else.
And I feel like that's where Zack Snyder thrives because it is very Elseworlds and you can change the dynamics and nobody's gonna be pissed at you. Everybody was. I'm mad that he had Batman kill. But I saw Batman carrying the gun in the nightmare sequence. I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
It works because one, I mean, literally within the movie, it's a dream, so it's not, whatever. But at the same time, even if it was canon in its own universe, then it does make sense for that Elseworld scenario.
Well, I mean, we have other Elseworlds Batmans that use guns, so as long as like you give me that, very interesting. The Harley Quinn line,
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because Margot's a better Harley than Jared is a Joker. but yeah, it makes sense. It fit, and that was like finally like we had a back and forth between these two characters that felt real.
Yeah.
Also, weird use of Batman's.
I was okay with it.
Yeah,
it was one of the I thought I was gonna roll my eyes at it, but it worked for me.
The better use of though was when Cyborg said humanity.
When did he say that?
When he was on Wonder Woman the first time?
When he was when?
When he was talking to Wonder Woman for the very first time? When they met on that street?
I was probably asleep.
He turns around and is about to walk off, and she says, but some of humanity or humans, blah, blah. And he goes, humanity.
Interesting.
And I was like, whoa, we got Cyborg saying the F word too.
Silas installed the bad boy drive.
Ooh.
Interesting. Yeah, I missed that completely.
Yeah, I mean, they had to fit another one in there so it would be rated R.
True. Yeah. Well, there was really nothing else to make it rated R.
There were two moments. I think it was one of them. Yeah, was with somebody. At the end, I think Superman took Steppenwolf's axe and stabbed it into his chest,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very reminiscent of the Thanos. You should have gone for the head, and it happened again. Somebody stabbed Darkseid in the flashback with an axe. I don't know.
Like Zeus or somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Hades.
Yeah,
Because Zeus. Yeah.
not Ares.
No, because
Is,
Ares.
is that Hades?
I think so because there were 3 Greek gods or Greek. There was one with lightning.
Yeah,
There was
There's
one.
one with the weird lightning fists.
Yeah, and then there was the one with the weird lightning fists, who I think Diana even references by name Ares at the same time, like saying Zeus and Ares and gods of old. And then the dude who comes in, he's wearing like, I just assumed it was Hades because it was a different guy than or Ares, and he had like a weird horn, like goat crown. So that was just my assumption.
But yeah,
Could
like
be literally anybody.
2 moments where that immediately happened, and I was like, should have gone for the head.
Yeah, I mean,
The flashback scene, that Green Lantern bit was enjoyable. The fact that we got the fact that the ring chooses, that was just a cool Zack Snyder or the writers, somebody understands these characters, and we were able to feel that so much more in this film than the theatrical cut.
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to complain about?
No, I mean my only complaint is just that the marketing for this movie put on a bigger show about how this was a completely different vision, and it's my fault for interpreting it this way, but I guess my understanding was that we would be getting a different movie.
Yeah.
And we did not. We got some better lines, some better visual effects, and better character introduction moments. Not even introduction, but just moments in general.
I think the characters really thrived a lot more in this. Even if there was bad writing, still I think at least the characters had room to breathe, and it wasn't like, hey, we have to introduce 3 new characters in this 2-hour movie. So 3 new integral characters who are going to be very important going forward. That being said, how did you feel about the super secret cameo that Zack Snyder teased us with?
Martha Manhunter.
I don't understand the point of that scene. That scene, it's very hard for me.
I genuinely think they had already shot that scene to be an actual Martha scene, and then Zack Snyder was like, "Oh shit, we could make him Martian Manhunter,"
and he was already on set.
Yeah.
Usually or they shot.
Or
it,
that
so,
was
yeah.
one of the 10. It was a 10-second pickup. Yeah.
But just so, I don't understand. What was the point? Why was he catfishing her?
You could not, gun to my head, I could not tell you what he said to her. I have no idea what that scene was.
I mean, the conversation, I don't really know what the point of the conversation was like.
It was just, hey, don't be sad.
Yeah, he wouldn't want you to blah, blah, blah. I lost the farm.
Also, why doesn't Martha say that? Because that is something Martha would say.
And I so wish Lois, when they were all reunited at the farm, Lois would have looked over at Martha and been like, your words really helped. And Martha would have been like, huh? I've been dealing with the foreclosure of the farm. I haven't seen you.
Help, by the way.
I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
No, well, so canonically, this movie takes place 3 days after Batman v Superman.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
No, I'm being serious. So, at the end,
that feels so fast.
Well, the end of Batman v Superman.
There's a time jump a little bit to the funeral and stuff, right? Isn't that a few days?
No, that's the next day.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes place on a Tuesday, the night of, and then, I think like a Wednesday morning at that point, technically, and then 3 days later, Superman rose from the grave and came. A Good Friday, one could say, when they brought Superman back to life. When God, capital G, Bruce Wayne, brings back his son, Jesus Kent, from the grave. Yeah, and then he flew to the stars to look over his children. Us.
Why didn't Martian Manhunter help?
Great question. Great question.
That's my biggest problem. This character You introduce him in the Martha scene. He shows up and helps somebody out. Maybe like
Anybody.
Yeah.
Literally anybody.
maybe Bruce is about to. Because you pointed it out when we watched. Because we watched that one of the scenes that we saw leaked
The leaked
was
ones
the
was the
very end,
the final.
the Martian
Martian
Manhunter Bruce Wayne scene, and Preston pointed out he was just like, "Why isn't Bruce ready to fight this guy?" Like
The last time he saw an alien, he wanted to blow up everybody. Like he
Yeah.
was willing to kill multiple humans.
Literally, and, like,
yeah.
so, just an alien just slowly descending from the sky. He'd be like shooting it. This version of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
Because he killed parademons. He's fine killing aliens.
Especially after just fighting Steppenwolf and thinking that there's Darkseid is still
and then
out
having
there.
the nightmare again. Like, I feel like that. But had, like, something been happening, because we saw Bruce was distracting them so they could start the Mother Box stuff. He, like, crashed into something in, like, a parademon swarm. And then we just see Martian Manhunter come in and kick some butt. And then he's like, I'll be around, and flies off.
Yeah.
Like, even just that. And then he descends down, and he's like, good to see you again.
would have been even better if you showed up at the front door, rang the doorbell like a gentleman, but as the U.S. military guy, and then transform and be like,
why didn't he?
by the way, you've been punked, and then turns into Ashton Kutcher.
Why didn't he
Reveal himself.
Yeah, reveal that he was this. I don't even know the military guy's name. Why didn't he reveal that? Like, I feel like that would have been. And also, Martian Manhunter hates the name Martian Manhunter. He doesn't like that title. He's John Johns. Why didn't
Some people call me
the
Martian Manhunter.
And he looks in the camera and the Seinfeld music starts playing.
Don't you just love Halloween? Son of the Mask reference. Because that's who he looks like.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. I don't want to go too far into detail. I really did. I know you didn't. I think the Flash scene at the end where he starts turning back time is super cool. It
was visually cool.
I don't like the dialogue.
Yes, that was my problem. Was the dialogue was so corny.
Not even the dialogue with him prior to him running, when he started talking to himself, like talking to his dad, was like, like this.
It was cringy.
It
was like
tracks for me.
Yeah. I also just didn't understand that the editing in that scene made no sense.
It was
to
very
me.
frantic.
It was frantic, and it wasn't like I didn't know why Cyborg wasn't, because Cyborg was fine. Like Superman had already taken Steppenwolf out of the picture, so there was like a good 10 to 15 seconds where Cyborg could have literally said anything. Literally anything.
And Flash would have been there.
He could have said, "Go now," or "Wait, give me 5." You know what I mean? Like, or like, "Hey, maybe stop running. We're gonna post up for a second."
Yeah.
Like, it was very dumb.
And I know that they needed Flash to do like some sort of electrical blah 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 whatever so he could separate
the same exact thing that they needed him to do to bring back Superman.
But like, as soon as he did, Superman comes over and helps him pull him apart. Why wasn't Superman already helping? Like, there's just a lot of weird stuff going on in that scene.
The whole moment didn't make sense.
That could have been. I think the tension was good because like I was like, oh shit, are they not gonna do it? Like, I think that worked.
Well, see, what I thought was gonna happen the second that it like blew up and like we're like, oh wait, what? Did everybody just die? I thought Flash was gonna run so fast he goes into the nightmare sequence, which would have made so much more sense.
I thought he was gonna end up in the nightmare sequence, and then we were gonna see him be like,
WTF, bruh,
and then
run
back
backwards
to Batman versus Superman. Lois is the key.
It works, but still, why?
Yo, yeah, still why? But we
yeah.
still have no explanation for that scene.
Yeah, no, still. Well, that's what was weird about the nightmare sequence is that it seemed like they didn't learn that Lois was the key until that nightmare sequence, but
Bruce
don't.
was told.
But Bruce, yeah, and on top of that, like Superman, it just. There's a lot.
Also,
I'm trying to like connect the dots in this timeline, but it doesn't. Why bother? It doesn't make sense.
One last point about those nightmare sequences. I think this nightmare sequence takes place canonically before the last nightmare sequence. Because doesn't Superman kill Batman in that?
Well, I think it cuts away.
And
right
also, I mean that that just hit me. But he gets the Joker card, and there's a Joker card on the butt of his gun in the BVS one.
Interesting.
It's like I don't know.
Interesting.
I do think
It's crazy that the thing that is the most outlandish and ridiculous makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's.
But actually, that does make even more sense.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I know you didn't, but
I mean, I went in with a bad attitude.
yeah, maybe you should give it a year or two.
No, God, no. I will never watch that movie again. No. I'll watch scenes from it again
What
for
if-
sure. Like, I'd watch that final battle moment, like the last 45 minutes.
If they announce Justice League 2,
No, never.
you won't watch Justice League 2?
Oh, I'll watch Justice League too. I thought you meant will I rewatch this?
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. Anything new, I'll watch. This just like my biggest gripe is that it wasn't new enough.
And so, yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Had you not seen the Joss cut, you would have probably been a bigger fan of this.
Look, blow me up in the comments, but the first time I saw the Joss League in theaters, I didn't know what to think. I was
both of them, and Suicide Squad. I was like,
yeah.
Maybe?
Well, I was doing the same thing that you're doing right now, where I was like picking moments that were good and trying to defend the whole movie because of those moments.
I mean, I still think this movie was too long, and if they took out the bad moments and just left in the good moments, it would still be a cohesive story and a better movie.
In a perfect world where they don't bring in Joss Whedon, this movie comes out as a 2.5-hour version of the Snyder Cut. Probably a better version. Maybe not as good because you don't have the time to introduce certain things, but
I think 3 hours. I think I would have been fine with 3 hours. Because I've watched the 3-hour version of Batman vs. Superman, and
but in this hypothetical scenario where Whedon's never a part of it, and we get the theatrical release of Snyder's vision in 2017.
So it probably would have been.
It would have been a 2.5-hour cut. Then we get the ultimate
longest.
cut, maybe 6 months later or something, and then both of those I would have watched and been like, yeah, 5 out of 10, as opposed to 4. But because I think my enjoyment of the Snyder cut is weighed down by both the Whedon cut and the time in between
I know your enjoyment's weighed down by that.
Degrading Snyder fans.
But yeah, I mean, it was a movie.
It was a movie, that's for sure. And, the argument could be made that the first one wasn't.
The first one was a movie. Snyder cut?
It's a film.
It's a film.
Oh my God. Did you... See, I feel like... Yeah, I don't know. Zack Snyder just is like the most splash page spreadsheet. I just want this one freeze frame that some incel can use as his wallpaper for the next 5 years, and that's where my vision will live. I'm very much simplifying this, but
yeah, it was. There's a lot of. I mean,
that was one of my biggest gripes with Batman v Superman is that. Like, all the cool moments are just, 10 frames of slow-mo that it's like, holy shit, like, that looks like it's from a comic book. Yeah. But it's just as a still image. But doesn't blend in with an actual movie. Like, that shot of him standing over the people in the flood, and it's like, oh, that's such a dope shot. But why are you just chilling there? Like, go save these people from this natural disaster.
Yeah. There are, the random stuff, like in the epilogue, Batman standing on his bat tank. It's like, what was the point of that? And there are a few scenes where Batman's perched up somewhere, and we get classic cape flowing in wind, bat silhouette.
Yeah, same thing.
I'll take that one though.
Yeah. It is a positive, but it also could be a negative.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll give it 69 societies out of 150 societies.
I'll give it 6.5 out of 10.
Perfect.
Stars. No. Hot dogs. Pocket glizzies.
I'll give it 2 out of 6 glizzies.
Well, this has been the Best Boys podcast.
It really has been. A slightly shorter episode.
Yeah, we wanted to be a little bit more concise. We didn't want to break down all the details. If you want that, you can find it somewhere else. You just want to hang out with us.
If you want more time in front of your phone, laptop, or TV, just go watch the Snyder Cut.
This podcast will be in 4:3.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing. So, Shout out YouTube listeners. Go listen on Spotify instead. Or do both. That's preferred.
At the same time, but 2-second delay.
No, what you got to do is you got to put your headphones in on your Spotify, but click play with your laptop muted on YouTube. And then the audio is going to be a little bit delayed, so it's going to be not quite synced, but you could do some pause and play action to try to match it. I think that'd be a fun game.
No. I mean, that's basically what happens when you're editing.
Yeah.
Especially at the times that we forget to clap. Okay. Goodbye.
You want to reach
Society.
around, Batman? What if I jerked you off, Batman? Would you like that? What if I jerked off your dead Robin? Oh.